Today's youth need teachers, volunteers, and most of all, well, they need you. I'm Doug Edwards, and I'm going to be talking with real youth mentors and students to give you the knowledge you need to be the best youth worker possible. This is Youth Worker on Fire. Hi, Youth Worker Nation. This is Doug Edwards with Youth Worker on Fire. And today we have an incredibly special guest, Megan Crouch. She's a trainer at Umatilla High School. She is also a youth pastor's kid. Now, I don't call people kid usually, but that kind of works with the YPK,
yes.
Right? But it's a YPK, which is more important, I think. But Megan is very special. I hadn't seen her quite a few years. We saw each other Sunday. And Megan, I am excited about asking you some stuff and finding out where you are. I've said a little bit about you here, but bring us up to date. What's been happening over these years? Where are you now?
Well, I'm a graduate of Umatilla High School and class of 2007. Played a year of college basketball up in Ohio, a small college up in Ohio.
I remember that.
Yeah,
yes.
And then transferred to Florida Southern and got my sports medicine degree there. I was at Umatilla High School before Umatilla, and then decided to downgrade my stress levels, switching to Umatilla. So.
Yeah, something. Now you're alone there. There's two of you. We talked about that at Ocoee, and such a large high school. And once you in some of those larger high schools, it's like double time, triple time. And so this is a little bit less stress, I guess. Is that right?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. We love our oasis.
Yeah.
And Umatilla is, the school system is one of their best kept secrets until today.
Yeah.
Because I just told everybody. But I know your parents were a big influence in your life. But tell me who that one influence was that just kind of sticks out, whether it's coaches or teachers or youth pastor, volunteer in middle school, high school, or college. What out of all those, what was that one that just sticks out?
Yeah, in high school, I actually got connected with the athletic trainer at Umatilla High School at the time, and through an injury, and then we kind of just connected on a different level, a spiritual level, and I tagged around with her. I was her little shadow for a whole year, and so she made a huge impact on my life, both spiritually and as a young woman going into adulthood.
What was her name?
Glenda Gordon.
Oh, yeah. Now I didn't know Glenda. I was thinking of Brandy.
Yeah, it was before Brandy.
Before Brandy, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was a huge influence on my life. Even into college, I would call her, nights where I'm frustrated or joys in my life, I'd call and share with her. So
that is a huge influence.
Yeah.
Those influencers that last you even through college and later, big deal.
Yeah.
What was that one edge that she had that seemed to attract students and help students? She helped you, obviously. Did she help others?
Yeah, she connected with many other athletes on a different level, and she was just really open and really welcoming and nurturing. And then so much so that I came back and helped her while she was going through pregnancy. I didn't want her to lift a finger. So.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, she connected with quite a few students. She still stays connected with students that, she came into contact with throughout high school.
Well, and you were obviously special to her and the other way around. Anybody that's letting you take care of them while they're going through pregnancy, there's a real bond there.
Yeah.
And so that's a big deal as well. Tell me about during that time, and I know your dad, because I knew your dad before I ever knew you, of course, and in student ministry. And so tell me about growing up in a youth pastor's house. What was that like?
Well, he went into ministry when I was in elementary school. So I basically grew up in the church my whole entire life. And so his first full-time ministry was down in Port Charlotte at First United Methodist, and that was one of the hardest times in our lives, but also one of the greatest times. We didn't have much money, but we always, God always provided for us, and it was a very positive household. And even though we were struggling at times, my parents never, expressed that to us. As kids, we didn't have a care in the world half the time. So I think it was a huge blessing growing up in a household where your fathers in ministry, both parents really, because my mother was children's pastor for quite a few years as well.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now, what does she do now? I know she's in a...
She works for Human Resources of Eustis.
She's been there for a while, hasn't she?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
I thought so. Yeah, and your parents are both just incredible people.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone that does the things that they've done, and your dad has helped so many, and your mom, you've had this individual in your life, and they've been that individual for so many other people's lives, as well as yourself.
Yeah.
Being brought up in a youth pastor's house, that was one of your toughest moments. As a family, what was your... And this is what I like to ask with your teachers, coaches, whatever. I want to ask what your worst youth pastor kids moment was, and because that's what people relate with.
Yeah.
And the people that will listen to this especially are going to be those people that have gone through a youth pastor's house as well.
Yeah.
Or pastor's home. So what was your worst youth pastor's moment, and then what was your worst sports moment? You're in college sports, Tell us some of those stories.
All right. I would say it was a combination over the years of, I wouldn't even say it was worse, but it was tough for me and my two brothers. We moved multiple times because of my dad's job, feeling called to different areas, and we lived in 3 different states, so we moved a lot, which was tough on the 3 of us each time we moved. And
why was that tough?
Because you get established, you make friends both within the church and within school, and then you feel like you're uprooted and moved elsewhere. So you have to redo all of that again. But at the same time, as a family, we grew real tight and real close, and I don't think we would have the bond that we do today if it wasn't for us moving so many times. And the only people we could rely on were each other.
Yeah.
So it was a blessing in disguise, but, I don't think any of us, me or my 2 brothers, would change the opportunities that we've had at each location that we've lived in. So.
Yeah. How many siblings do you have?
2 brothers. I'm the
go.
middle child.
You're the middle child?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I keep thinking that you're the oldest, but you're the middle.
Nope.
Good deal. You're the best. See, I'm
Exactly.
the middle child. The middle child's always the best.
Only girl and middle child.
That's it. I mean, you had double whammy.
Yeah.
That's excellent. So tell me about college, though. What was the hardest thing about being out of state the first 2, I think it's the first 2 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah, my first year was really tough, but I grew as an individual, being 1,000 miles away from home and in a place that you don't know. I kind of developed, a little bit of depression.
Yes.
I wasn't established in a church. I didn't, I made friends, but, I didn't have the comfort of my friends from home. And I was trying to keep up with academics on top of practice and social life. So it just kind of snowballed into a depression, and, I just was not happy my first year of college. And so that's why I made the transfer back to Florida, to Florida Southern. So.
And that's not unusual either.
Right.
Depression can set in a lot of times with college students, especially their freshman year.
Yeah.
It's a new environment, but not all of them are 1,000 miles from home.
Yeah.
And that's even more pressure. Did you know you were going to be an athletic trainer? Is that what you knew you wanted to go toward?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, my senior year of high school, I basically decided this is what I want to do. And schools that were recruiting me for basketball, I would decline them if they didn't have an athletic training program. So I was pretty set on doing
You're
sports
point guard?
medicine. Yes.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
shooting guard.
Yeah, shooting guard. There you go. Yeah, I can see that. And so you had quite a few schools after you. That says a lot about you. Number one, I deal with athletes. I'm at Lake Sumter State as their chaplain for the baseball team.
Yeah.
And,
Coach Billings.
Yeah, Coach.
Of course.
And I interviewed him. This was the last interview I had here with his wife, Betsy. Here's what I found. If you're on the college level at all in athletics, you're already less than probably 0.001% of the population. Probably more than that. Number 2, you've got to be driven.
Yeah.
And you probably don't understand people who aren't that driven, but most of the world is not as driven as you are. I don't even know that much about it, except what your dad had told me some. And the fact that these schools were wanting you, that means you're an aggressive, great player. It doesn't matter what level those universities or colleges were on. Do you see that difference in you and other people in athletics and people who are not in athletics?
As far as the drive?
I'm going to say that you got to win.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
I'm very competitive.
That's right. At your level,
Yeah.
the whole thing is, it's not about what if we lose. No, it's no, we have to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me what that's like.
Sports was a huge part of my life. In high school, I played 3 sports and was on honor roll as well. And
Huge pressure.
yes, exactly. I didn't really connect with a lot of people outside of sports, though, besides, my younger brother's friends who were in band.
Mm-hmm.
I would say sports is a big reason as to why I had such drive in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get into sports until middle school. I mean, I played softball my whole life, but the competitiveness came out, I would say, around 8th, 9th grade year. I would say all of my drive is because of athletics and the competitiveness.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And I'll tell you what, middle school, I think, is when we actually start knowing what we're going to do.
yeah.
I think a lot of that gets squelched, but
Mm-hmm.
you got to keep living that dream of what was happening in that 8th and 9th grade year.
Mm-hmm.
So here you are, you're out of college, you've got this internship. What would you tell people that are going through an internship? What's your, and your athletic trainer now? Tell us the difference between being in, basically student teaching. Is that right? Is that what it was, or was that employed?
At Ocoee, I was employed,
Okay.
but I did do an internship at Wide World Sports.
Tell me about that. Everybody wants to know about
that was
that.
entertaining.
Yeah?
I was working 16-hour days at, I think our pay, what we figured it out was like 25 cents an hour.
Yeah, really.
But, they paid for our
Minimum
housing.
wage, but by
and
the time you really add
yeah,
up,
exactly. I give a lot of the credit to me passing my certification exam the first time to working that internship, because they basically throw you out there and they're like, all right, if you have a problem, call us. But, you're the
wow.
one in charge of this tent. So, and I'd be over hundreds of athletes, me versus 5 fields.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that was an awesome experience in and of itself. We got to meet a lot of college athletes coming in, a lot of high school athletes coming in, a lot of international students that would come in for tournaments. So
Wow, I'm so glad I asked you that
Yeah.
question, because I had no idea.
yeah,
Yeah, there's not another level like being over there at Wild World,
Mm-hmm.
because everything is at that Walt Disney level,
yeah,
of
exactly. Mm-hmm.
excellence. And so 5 fields, you didn't have time to think about whether you're doing it right or wrong, did you?
Correct. Yeah,
Which made it good.
yeah.
So tell me about that pressure, and tell me one of your worst and best moments there.
I don't know. I mean, the whole thing was like an awesome moment for me. At times I would feel really worn out and tired, 12, 16-hour days working. But I really connected with the other interns that were there, and we're still friends. And it was just a blast, getting outside of my comfort zone and meeting new people. So
And
I would
you
say
guys-
the toughest is lack of sleep, and the best was, meeting new people and making new relationships.
Yeah.
So
And lack of sleep, that's kind of what life is.
yeah, it's college in general.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially. And you were with the elite there. I mean, when you're talking Wild World sports out in this area, in the Florida area, we're talking, you guys are all elite.
Yeah.
They were elite in college, now you're the elite,
Mm.
because they're not going to just choose anyone
Right.
to even be able to come there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you had quite a few background checks, probably more than the school system.
Yeah. Well, there was 11 of us, I think, is what the total was, of interns that were working
Yeah.
for them. So
So what would you tell people that are going through college and trying to figure out what they're going to do?
my biggest advice is to network. A lot of the opportunities that I've had in my profession is because I know somebody who knows somebody, and I was recommended. So both keeping a good rapport with people, not burning bridges,
What was that? Say that again.
not burning bridges, and really just getting out, meeting people, networking, volunteering, and just connecting with people. So.
Yeah. When you went to Florida Southern, you went there, you graduated there, right? Wild World during college.
Yes, my last semester.
And then Ocoee. And how large is that school?
Oh,
That's a good reference.
couple
for people.
thousand, I think.
Yeah. yeah.
I can't recall the
They
exact
cap them
number.
off at about 2, 3.
Yeah, it was around
2.2,
2,000,
Something
yeah.
like that in larger schools. And so a lot of people to deal with.
Yeah.
Who stood out? Did you have 1 or 2 people? I mean, in those large crowds, they really stand out because it takes a lot to stand out in a large school. So were there
Yeah.
students or teachers that stood out to you there?
Oh,
coaches?
of course. I still talk with a couple of my students from there. I just had lunch with one a couple weeks ago. So, I made connections on a personal level with students. And then my boss there, JP Hamilton, he was the head athletic.
I know JP.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't have asked for a better first boss.
Oh,
he
no.
was
He's
so
the best.
encouraging and uplifting and really supportive of me. And we'd bounce ideas off of each other, and he'd talk about a driven person. He's very driven.
Yes.
And then after that, I had someone who was actually younger than me come in as the head athletic trainer, and Nikki Rice, and I connected with her really well. So there's definitely relationships that I built in my first job right out of college that are still, strong and thriving. So yeah.
Don't burn bridges.
Exactly.
Make connections.
Yeah.
Keep up with people. I think sincerity has something to do with that too.
Of course. Yeah, just being real with people. I have nothing to hide. If you're real with them, they'll be real back. So,
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
What are some parting thoughts that you would like to just say to those people that were either the youth pastor's kid or going through conflicts, maybe parents are going through some hard times? Anytime somebody said something bad about me, my kids were defensive.
Yes.
They were ready to go. They're on go mode.
Yeah, our family calls it circling the wagon.
Yeah.
Someone comes into your tribe and you do everything you can to protect your family and the people who are closest to you. But in every situation, God's brought us out stronger, and there's been a lesson in, everything that we've experienced, and it's built our character. It's all about honesty when it comes to stuff, hard times and good times in life. It's just being real, living life, and, doing the best you can to be the light that God's called us to be in whatever situation we're in.
And you're talking about, or I think you're working with Fellowship of Christian Athletes right now.
Yeah,
is that
I just came on last month, 5 hours a week.
Yeah.
Just doing administrative stuff. Yeah. I was involved with the one at Mount Dora in high school. So.
Yeah, I would go out and hang with your dad occasionally at those. And yeah, that's good. Has Fellowship of Christian Athletes had a big influence on you?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Being on the other side of it now, it's cool to see different students who are really driven. Here at Eustis is Terrence. And, I met him last weekend or the weekend before. Mm-hmm. And, that kid just in one meeting made a huge influence on my life.
Oh, wow.
So being on the other side of FCA it's cool to see as a teacher perspective looking in the impact that it makes like within the school systems.
You're a trainer, you still have some of these same things going on, and there's always this church and state thing going on. Mm-hmm. So tell me how you're on the side of, okay, what can I do and what can I not do?
Yeah.
What would you tell people that are working with an organization like that? Because I've talked to principals and as well as the assistant superintendent here. He's in one of the interviews, and we talk about that and how to be a help and not someone who's hurting our relationship on a faith-based area with the school systems, how we as faith-based are not hurting others. What would you tell people working as a public school employee but with a faith-based program on that campus?
Definitely do your research. The Liberty Council's out there for a reason. I got to listen to them speak a couple weeks ago and learned my rights and the students' rights within, a government establishment. But the way I see FCA is not a way for me to shine my light. I want to be the vessel that provides an opportunity for students to be the impact, not me. So I just want to be an encouragement behind them. And, I think that's the big part of FCA with the teachers within the school system. I can go out and host a coach's Bible study, but I can't host a student's Bible study during my work hours or on campus, but a student can. So if I can just be that influence within a student's life to be able to, hey, I want to do this, then, that's the whole purpose behind it. So.
And how helpful should you be if you're doing a faith-based thing? Does that put you on a different plane with how you have to respond to administration? Do you have to be better than other teachers? Do you have to be kinder? What do you have to do to help them?
Yeah, as far as like understanding FCA?
One thing that I've asked principals and assistant superintendent as well is how can faith-based people work with the school system and be a help? And one of the things they said was, come to us and find out what we need.
Right.
Have them help us with what we need, and they're always welcome. With that in mind, is there anything that FCA students and coaches can do that would help the relationship with the school with all the tensions that are there?
Yeah, I think it just goes back to being real. You know, our job is not to stand on the corner and preach the word right in people's faces. It's just to be an example by actions, an example through love. And I think if that love is, the agape love is involved, then
For people who don't understand that, what is agape love?
brotherly love. If that is within your drive and your passion, then doors will open for you. It's not something that has to be forced open. There's going to be pushback, you know, that's to be expected.
Yeah.
Especially if there's something good going on for Christ. There's going to be pushback.
Absolutely.
But it's just a matter of, you know, bringing that love in and understanding that there's going to be hard times, but there's also going to be good times at the end. So I think just, you know, approaching administration and other teachers with love, biblical love, and not just throwing it in their face, I think they'll be more open than what people believe. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, any final thoughts that you'd like to give people in Youth Worker Nation? Because you brought up the word tribe, and that's what we're creating here as a tribe, Youth Worker Nation as a tribe, and people that relate with each other and understand. Anything you want to say to them?
Just be encouraged and, you know, keep pushing despite pushback and trust in God fully. He always brings you through.
That's right, that's right. And pushback, what does that usually mean when you're doing something good and something's coming at you to try to stop you?
That means something bigger is coming.
There you go. That's what people need to know.
Yeah.
Happens in sports too, doesn't it?
Exactly.
You can't stop driving, and the spiritual world is the same. You can't stop driving when hard stuff is coming. The hardest stuff is coming. That means something big is on the other side.
Right.
Go through the wave, right?
Yep.
All right. Megan, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you, Youth Worker Nation, next time. Make sure that you understand you can pick up on iTunes and Google Play, TuneIn, as well as Stitcher to listen to Megan and pass this on. You know some people that need to hear her.
You've been listening to the Youth Worker on Fire podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and tell your friends. Also, leave a comment and tell us what you think. Stay tuned for more informative episodes.